Iaska haidit mache, Amerische nicht. Für mich von in der Welt in Iaska groß konsignara, kucha. Statschien. Horlick.
I was born here on the island of Gigha 80 years ago. There are not many Gaelic-speaking natives like myself left. I don't suppose that matters to many people, because the prosperity of the island of Gigha comes from the outside. This is a pleasant, fertile island, very bonny, especially in summer when everything is colourful. The gardens are in bloom, and for me anyway, the sea is usually quiet and still. It is of course a Gaelic island with place names like Ardminish, Craigvan, Slochgenleim, Dún Tremische, and so on. Gigha is an island born out of history, but its earliest past is long since forgotten, lost and buried. The island of Gigha is only 6 miles long. They tell me that there's a boat race in Oxford that could get round the place in a few minutes, but maybe not in the storms that I have seen facing the open ferry from Tain Lone to Ardminish. Nowadays, the little open ferry isn't the only one that connects Gigha with the mainland of Argyll. There are the big car ferries for the tourists who come to see the island and, of course, the gardens. The Gulf Stream warms the island of Gigha. That's maybe why in 1944 it attracted a man who made his name from a sleep drink. He is called Sir James Horlick.
A house agent said, would you be interested in a little island called Gigha? And I told him, I said, all right, if I like it, I'll buy it. I'm not going to argue with you. I made an arrangement. I arrived the wrong day at the north end of the island and was decanted in a small rowing boat at low tide out of the steamer. And I had to land on a rock, which I did with great effort, and fell flat on my face on the seaweed.
The tall hedges and the beautiful gardens that Sir James created in Gigha when he bought it are now one of the great tourist attractions of Scotland. If Sir James hadn't done all this and much more as well, the island of Gigha might have had to die like so many other small Scottish islands. This Ogham stone belongs to pagan times and celebrates the old dead. It looks over Gigha and the far mainland of Scotland. There are relics of old places of worship, like Kilchatton Church itself, which is about 700 years old, but the moss on its walls come from older times. It's dedicated to St. Catan, an Irish missionary. Ireland is only 35 miles away and can be seen clearly on a good day. There are gravestones of very fancy design which tell the fighting history of this island. Near Tarbert Farm, the Holy Stone. Childless women used to approach it on their knees to offer prayers for fruitfulness. Further north is the Druid Stone. An angry giant flung his tooth after a woman who left him. My church is on Cronchcahill, the Hill of Music. A good name. It's here that Dr. Kenneth MacLeod, the famous song collector, preached for 20 years. I knew Dr. Kenneth well, a kind, generous man. He used to say to us that the enchanted Isle of Gigha was his constant and divine inspiration. One undisputed monument remains, his Road to the Isles. Dr. Kenneth was a bachelor. He used to say that he would never marry till he met a priest's daughter. He never married. But he left a heritage of artistry. Nowadays, people like Mrs. Tulloch, in their own way, carve out a world that Dr. Kenneth never knew, Hiroshima. I was born just a wee bit from the sea, in a small fisherman's cottage on the west side of the island. Cuddy Port, they called it. A lovely spot, but the croft has been taken over as a holiday home. I go to see it every day. What they call progress has moved me to the village, but at the same time, it's progress that kept Gigha alive. It's the only island off the coast of Scotland that shows an increase in population. As this coincides with the increase in cheese production, maybe there is a connection after all. There is no difference between age groups. And where else could you come across this in rural Britain, never mind Scotland? Ardminish village provides us with shops and a hotel where after a hard day's work in the fields, people can relax and enjoy themselves. Some people might think that I'm getting a bit old for the dance now. There are a few old folk like myself who still enjoy the night. But today, the dances in Gigha are different from our young days. And the dances have taken over from the old Gaelic ceilidhs in the same way that the accordion has taken over from the fiddle, which used to be the favourite musical instrument. I used to play the fiddle myself, but like the dancing, my days for that are over. The island of Gigha is very fertile, and we have 12 active farms on the island. The climate is very mild. This may be due to the Gulf Stream, which washes out shore. Kenneth MacLeod himself said, when it's raining in Gigha, it's pouring everywhere else. Arable land is to the east, but the west coast is wild and rocky. When Sir James Horlick came here in 1944, farming wasn't much organised, but since then, Lady Horlick has taken the helm.
When my husband first came here and bought the island in 1944, they were doing a little milk and a few beef store cattle. But then they changed over, and a man made cheese on Gigha. He had a creamery here for a few years, and they had about 70,000 gallons a year in those days. And my husband and the farmers formed their own company, and they've now gone up to producing about 300,000 gallons a year. We send the main bulk of it into Glasgow Cheese Market, and it's sold there. We have regular sort of meetings with the farmers and discuss, any sort of policy and the fact that we must all stay in milk, merely to keep jobs for the people on the island. If we changed over to beef, we'd depopulate in a flash, because about 2 men could run the whole thing. We had another meeting when it came to making the decision about changing into bulk tanks, so that they've now all got their refrigerated tanks, and Neil had to get on his lorry, our portable tanker, for going around collecting it and delivering it to the creamery.
You could well say that Sir James and Lady Horlick, who are after all incomers, are changing the traditional way of life of Gigha. Well, they are certainly changing it from the life I knew as a boy. I would be the last to be against the modern ways. I know that modern ways have kept the island alive, even if our old-fashioned cheese is now being gobbled up by the mainland ferry just to turn it into cheddar cheese.
Oes an Reginias Gahasmoa, and Sandevara.
As I said, I'm a fisherman, but now only during the summer months, as I'm getting too old to challenge the winter seas. I now fish for lobster, but they have also become very scarce, especially since the large boats came to our shores to trawl for clams. This has become a very profitable occupation since the mainland palate acquired the taste for shellfish. The fishing grounds round and near Gigha used to be famous, especially the cod banks. These were the days of the long line, 700 fathoms and 500 hooks, but now all this is gone, and with it the art of sea fishing. I get an occasional lobster still, which I sell locally. What matters is the thrill of going out to my own creels every morning, and there might be 1 or 2 lobsters waiting for me. Often it's only 1, and sometimes the visitors call it twiggy.
Hajirach. Karaman roekig se hoekig meer is. Goed soort am geunje. Ik al van doos achter maar teeltje hier se. Geloof ik je gaat aan je zien.
But when everything is said, what I like most about my Gigha is that this is where I was born. All the generations who made me are buried in that old churchyard of Kilchatton. And when my time comes, I will not rage against the dying of the light.